Haunted Michigan. Terrifying Tales.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 5 of Haunted Michigan. If you've missed any of the episodes, go back and check it out as we've talked to some of the most premier people in the paranormal world here and around Michigan. Today we're going to head up north to the UP. We'll tell you more about that in just a few minutes. Plus, we'll talk with Jessica from the Mystic Mitten. Oh, and how about Madrox and Monoxide from Twiztid? They've got some haunted tales to tell from right here in southeast Michigan as well. But first, like I said, we'll start in the UP with Tim Ellis and Brad Blair. They're part of the UP Paranormal Research Society. They talk about cryptids and Bigfoot sightings. How about haunted little girls' dolls? That's a wild story. As well as haunted places in the UP, the Valley Camp Ship Museum, historical lighthouses, and a ton more. It's Tim and Brad as we go all the way up to the Upper Peninsula to start this episode of Haunted Michigan. Well, after some MacGyvering, we've got Tim and Brad here. How you guys doing?
Great.
We're doing good. We appreciate your patience to make the carrier pigeon from the UP make it to Detroit. We appreciate that.
No problem. I think you guys are the first guys I've talked to from the UP. We'll get into some haunted tales here in just a minute. But Tim, first of all, tell us a little bit of your background in the paranormal world.
Well, I was really drunk one night, and let's be serious about this, right? All right. Really, Meltdown is a great question because people ask it a lot, and I didn't follow what some would consider the traditional route, which was growing up in a haunted house or having that big paranormal experience that really gets people into this field to want to learn more. I was just always that weird kid that loved a good ghost story and scary movies and anything that was weird that I could get my hands on. That's what I wanted. And then that's how Brad and I met in the first grade. We were the two weird kids and we found each other right away. There was a third one of us, Steve, and we found him in the first grade as well. And the three of us have been running these trails ever since.
Well, all you had to say was weird, and you ended up in radio. So
yeah, right. Exactly. Right. Yeah.
Just like the rest of us. Yeah. Brad Blair, what do you got? What's your background?
Pretty much the same thing as Tim said. We go back to the 70s, to the first grade, and we were the kids off to the side of the schoolyard telling ghost stories and getting together on the weekends and riding our bikes to the library and checking out anything we could find on ghosts, hauntings, UFOs, Bigfoot. If it was weird, you name it, and we were into it.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you guys this to start off. Because I talked with John Tenney a few weeks back, like I was telling you guys about. Has there been Bigfoot sightings up in your neck of the woods?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, just earlier this spring, we got called out to a place not too far from us. The lady even made the cast and everything, and we've been over the years, more so over the last 5-6 years. We've got a whole group up here that has been doing the ghost thing for over 20 years, but we've kind of been dabbling a little bit more into the cryptid and UFO side of things now too.
That's interesting. Yeah, because a lot of people I've talked to so far, John, of course, brought up the cryptids, and you guys had, just talked about that. But some of the people are talking about, more the paranormal and the ghosts and stuff like that. So you guys are in the UP. So have you guys explored or investigated a lot of places in the UP?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's our stomping grounds. Pretty much, as far as we can go west, we go, and then we're also been down into the northern, lower, and mid Michigan area as well. But yeah, the UP is pretty much where we run so many lighthouses and great history and unexplored areas up here that it's really like a playground for us.
Yeah, the great thing with the UP, you've got so much in the way of unexplored wilderness, undeveloped waterfront. You've got a third of Michigan's landmass up here, but there's only 3% of the state's population that live here.
And we like it that way.
Absolutely. So yeah, we've got a lot of exploring to do, whether it be out in the woods or, as Tim mentioned, a lot of lighthouses on the coast that we get called into. So keeps us busy.
I can appreciate the space. There's no doubt about that. So Tim, you were just talking about this Bigfoot, or maybe it was you, Brad. But I think I may have seen something about this on TV. Did I see something? Was there some sort of investigation that I may have come across, maybe on a video or something? I want to say in the UP. It's all a little bit foggy now. But was there something put out online?
It probably would have been. Was it Destination Bigfoot or one of the Bigfoot shows about 5 years ago? We're up here Finding Bigfoot.
Finding Bigfoot.
Oh, is that
yeah, they were up here a little bit further west of us, of Sault Ste. Marie, but they were up here doing a show, and so that garnered a lot of publicity and viewing for the area for some Bigfoot sightings up here.
Now, as far as cryptids go, what kind of evidence have you guys ever found of of anything that you investigated?
Not a damn thing. That's
No.
why we keep looking.
Yeah, the one footprint that the lady did cast was quite intriguing, and we took that to one of the guys from Finding Bigfoot, Cliff Barackman, that was up here in the Sioux for a conference, and he kind of picked it apart a lot better than we would have. And he said, yeah, he said the measurements are pretty consistent with what we bring in and what most people think are Sasquatch footprints. So he was impressed with it, which impressed us. So,
yeah.
But yeah, no, as far as other evidence, we really haven't come upon a lot. We get a lot of phone calls. We get a lot of pictures, anecdotal stuff sent to us that may or may not be something. So that's what we end up going out and following up on.
I'm still trying. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Meltdown.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry, Tim. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm still trying to build myself up to the whole part of looking to see if that's rabbit poop or Bigfoot dung.
Right.
That's a whole nother level of this research that I haven't gotten to yet, but
I got you.
Right there in front of me, and I don't know yet.
I got you. Yeah. So with the lack of evidence out there, you guys are still believers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially in the haunting side of things, we've been doing this long enough in the haunting side of things where we've seen enough weird, unexplained stuff ourselves that it just keeps us going. It's kind of like that. If you play golf and you suck at it like I do, you get that one good drive and you want to play again, Yeah. And I liken that to the paranormal side of things. With the Bigfoot and the UFO, it's so different to try to find. It's a whole different ball game to get out there and try to find the evidence that at this point, it's kind of drawn back to that childhood love of a good monster and creature and UFO that keeps us going at this point. Even at 50 years old, he's not 50 yet, and he'll tell you that, but that's right. But even at this age, we still keep going because I really think it's just that childhood love that we had for it when we were at that age.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things too, where if Bigfoot is indeed found one day, all those shows would have to end, right?
That's
would end.
I don't know if I'd want them to be found. That's
right.
Discussion that Tim and I have had many times. Then it takes away some of that magic of childhood that we grew up with. Like Tim said, we've been doing the ghost hunting thing for 20 some years now. And yeah, we picked up a lot of really compelling evidence on haunting investigations, but on the cryptid side of things, we're nowhere near as affluent in the cryptid field, but we have gotten called in. Being up in the UP where people are scarce, groups like that investigate very specific cryptid sightings are very few and far between. So us being still the weird kids on the block, we do get called in, especially on the eastern half of the UP, when people have sightings of what might be a Bigfoot and UFOs too, to a point, which are really hard for us to try and investigate because you're just going off somebody's testimony.
So you brought it up, the paranormal stuff, which is kind of what this whole project is all about. So Tim, I'll start with you. Give me some of your give me some of the greatest evidence or perhaps any brushes with the paranormal that you've had.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing it as a team in the field for over 20 years. We were kids from elementary school through high school, running through the abandoned homes and the graveyards and doing all that stuff when we were kids. And then we graduated college, ended up back together when we want to kind of to take it to a more legitimate level. And that's when we created the Upper Peninsula Paranormal Research Society. And everything's, that's been the journey since the late 90s. So it's been a ton of fun and a ton of moments where watching cupboard doors close on us, feeling the touch on the back of a neck when you shouldn't have felt anyone. But the biggest one for myself, and I know for most of the team, happened at Shishwa Point Lighthouse, which is in Gulliver, Michigan, which is right on the belly of the UP on the tip of Lake Michigan. And we've investigated there a number of times. We're in very good with the Historical Society there. And we call it our Disneyland because every time we go there, something strange and weird happens. As a matter of fact, I saw that one of your guests you've had on this show and the podcast is Kathleen Tedson. And Kat and her sister Bev, rest in peace, when she was still with us, in their second book that they wrote, they followed us to Shishwa Point for one of the investigations. And that particular investigation, which was a great one too, is documented in one of their books. But this incident was not that night. We were there. We'd gotten there early. We set our gear up. The Historical Society was there to meet us. We did our walkthrough with them, and then they left us for the night. The place was ours. This beautiful.
Right. Now stop for 1 second. You and Brad, and what year are we talking about here?
So year-wise, okay. So we're probably talking maybe 2003.
Okay. And it was just you and Brad, or were there other people involved?
No, it was Brad and I and probably 4 others from the team.
Okay.
Yeah. So we set up the gear and we go outside, and we want to just kind of give the house a chance to settle, do its thing, let our cameras and audio run. And we go outside, and we had brought in cigars with us because there is one of the main ghosts of the place is Captain Joseph Willie Townsend. And it is said he loved to smoke cigars when he was alive. His wife wouldn't let him. And now all of a sudden these phantom cigar smells come through the lighthouse all the time. So we wanted to bring cigars and light them and toast Captain Townsend. And we're out there, and we do that, and we're chatting, but we're the wall we're facing outside, there's 4 windows. One goes to what would have been like the servant's kitchen. The 2 middle ones are for a main formal dining room. And then the far one would have been the family's kitchen. And I'm looking at the far one, which would have been the servant's kitchen, and the drapes are open. And that's when I see this figure from on the inside. Sorry, I didn't mean to bump my mic. On the inside, walk past the window. And luckily, another one of our guys, Matt, was standing right next to me. And he goes, "Did you just see what I said?" And I said, "Yeah, I did." And so at this time, Brad and the rest of the crew, who were off just a little bit to our side, asked what was going on. And we told them. So all of our attention now goes to that next middle window, which would have been the formal dining room, which is one of the very active places in the house. The curtains were closed on that window, and we're all watching, and all of us witness this curtain pull back and hang there for what seemed like an eternity to us, but might have been maybe 4 or 5 seconds, as though someone was inside pulling the curtain back to see who was outside and what was going on. It stays that way, and then we watch it slowly close.
And we're all smoking cigars, and none of us smoke. So all of a sudden this happens, and you've got 6 guys out here choking. just drew in, and you see this dark figure pull this curtain aside.
Wait, you actually saw a dark figure?
It was darker than what it was blocking out our ability to see in the house. It wasn't dark outside yet. It was still daylight out. And so that happens, and we all start jumping around like kids in on Christmas morning, because we realized that all of us had witnessed this one moment. And then quickly it hits us. Well, crap, we got to go work now. Let's go work. We got to get in the house. So myself and another guy, Steve, are the first ones around to get up to the front of the door. And we get asked all the time, have you guys ever been so scared that you wanted to quit? And the answer is no, we never have been. But this was the one moment in 20 plus years that I remember, as I'm reaching for that door handle, I stopped for just a moment. And I look at Steve. I'm like, what the hell are we doing? Because I didn't know what we were going to walk into. We know we just witnessed.
Yeah.
And we open the door, and we get blasted in the face with the strongest, cheapest smelling lilac perfume you could smell, something like grandma's wear. And that was huge as well, because that ties into one of the female spirits that is associated with Shishwa Point Lighthouse, that whenever she's around, you smell like lilac perfume. And this was so heavy, and it blasted us right in the face. And so for me, that is one of my personal experiences in the field so far.
Now, did you smell any cigar smoke?
We didn't. No, there was, other than the cheap crap we were smoking, but
yeah, right.
But no, everything inside just reeked of that. Like, really, it was like it wasn't, because I love lilacs. I love the smell of lilacs, but cheap perfume lilac is just, it burns your nose, and that's what we were smelling.
Yeah. Brad, was that up near the top of one of your craziest experiences, or you got a different one?
It was one of the higher ones. Another one of my favorites, I guess, and Tim will attest to this too, because he was on the investigation. It was back probably around 2010. We got called to it was a gift store at the time. It's an old building across the street from the Sulaks Park. It's probably built late 1800s. And the manager called and said, we knew her well. She said, we've had all of these strange experiences going on, and we've been wanting to call you guys to come in and investigate the building. Now, it had always been a dry goods store on the main floor. The second floor, though, used to be a boarding house for transients that worked in the lakes trades, people off ships, people that were coming in to do different retail things, and eventually just people that didn't have a lot of money, and they were kind of getting run down. They were no longer used as apartments. So this was all old, abandoned, small apartments on the second floor. And she said, we're going upstairs all the time. We're hearing these footsteps. It sounds like people are walking right around us. And she said, we have this Christmas room that's just Christmas decor year round. And there's a set of carolers. They range from about 2.5 feet to about 5 feet. It's a Victorian set. It's the father, mother, brother, and sister, the kids. And she said, we started coming in, and the little girl, the daughter doll, would be found in different spots around the storefront. And she's, the security alarms weren't going off. Nobody was coming in after we closed for the night, but we were finding this girl in different places to the point it got so disturbing that we started taking her down the basement and putting a box over her and locking the basement door, because nobody wanted to come in and find her in different spots. And then they'd have to go down and get her and bring her back up every morning. So it got to be routine. And she said, yesterday when I came in, she said, I went, did my normal opening, checked and made sure the alarm had never been deactivated at night. I went and opened the basement door to go down and get the doll. And standing there looking forward on the top step of the basement stairs was the little girl doll. She said, I slammed the door, ran out, went home, and called the owners. She said, that was it. So we wanted you guys to come in. So we did several investigations at this building, and we heard footsteps on the upstairs exactly as they described them. We went through, we cleared the building, made sure no one else was in there, but there were heavy, sounded like boot steps coming from the second floor where the boarding house had been. So we ran up, and wherever we would walk, the footsteps would stay behind us. They were there, and we knew no one else was around. And then in one doorway in particular, we had a funny smell coming out of, and we caught on camera this misty figure going into the room. So I followed it in with another member of our team, and I said, well, one of the theories is you can draw energy to show yourself. If you can do that, could you pull heat energy out of the air? We had a thermometer going at the time, and all of a sudden that started dropping, and it dropped 8 degrees in about 2 minutes. Said, okay, you've made your point. You can let it go now. Went right back up to the temp it had been. So everything seemed to center around this one corner of the building. And so we ended up having to call in the manager of the store and saying, hey, is there anything that you guys have experienced up here that would be odd or different? She said, oh, that's funny you mentioned that room. She said, I had an older gentleman come in that used to live upstairs. She said, just a couple months ago. And we started talking, and he said, yeah, I lived in the back hallway, and the guy down in the southwest corner, he was really strange, and he kept to himself. He'd come down to get his mail, and it seemed like he was hiding from something. And she said, one day we heard a little scuffle up there, and nobody saw him for a few days. And then the smell started coming from the room, and he hadn't been down to get the mail. So the owner had to go up and check, and they found him dead in the room. And being the time frame it was, they wrote it off as a suicide. Nobody ever really knew. There were rumors that he'd been murdered there, but everything kind of it revolved around that one particular room for most of the investigation. So the little girl doll was the part that freaked us out the most and got us in there. But then, yeah, we had voices coming through on our EVP recorders. Like I said, this one corner of that building, now it's been remodeled, and there are apartments and people are living there nowadays. So I don't want to give the exact address, but yeah, definitely one of our favorites. And we ended up in there several times following that.
Yeah.
That's like some real Annabelle stuff.
Exactly.
It was
real life.
What's really cool about this investigation, and due to some of the EVPs we captured there, some of the best we've ever captured, it actually, we were able to do historical research to actually tie it in to a whole other case we were working on at another location. And when you get those type of moments in this field, man, it's like hitting the home run.
Yeah. Tim, did you turn your microphone off?
I did. Did I go down a little bit?
A little bit.
Right.
We heard
All
you.
right.
Yeah.
There we go.
I'm just trying to keep it professional.
Yeah, absolutely. It's tough to do in radio, but I respect that.
Yeah. So being up there in the UP and stuff, do you have a lot of paranormal investigators coming up to see you guys? Or not particularly you guys, but just the UP in general?
On occasion. I wouldn't say often. We're a little bit off the beaten path. We have teamed up with some other groups that we've done investigations with over the years, which is always fun. But yeah, no, we really cover a wide area ourselves.
And what's nice too with today's technology, especially like what we're doing here using Zoom and whatnot. When we first started, it was, a telephone call and some emails with the dial-up.
Right.
And now if we have to, we do consults with people too. Sometimes if they're not in an area that we can get to right away, we can consult with them, and we do a lot of that. And then if it gets to the point where we feel and they feel they want a team in, we've gotten to know enough teams across the state now where if we can't make it there in a timely manner, we'll just reach out to another team in the area and ask them to go in and help this family or this location out.
Now, for people that might be coming from the lower part of Michigan, and maybe in particular here in Southeast Michigan, to go up to the UP, where would you suggest that they go to get the most paranormal activity? Was it the places you've talked about? Or is there any other places up there which are kind of known for it?
Oh yeah, we've actually got a full book out, Supernatural Haunts, that is some of our favorite case files. I think all except one are based in the UP. But like Tim mentioned, Seshwa Point Lighthouse, that's open. We made sure in the book that we concentrated on locations people could visit. The Valley Camp Ship Museum here in Sault Ste. Marie, we've gotten some amazing activity on there, and we've had different groups come in, investigate that with us. We do an investigation there that's open to the public once a year in August that coincides with the Michigan Paracon that we put on up here. Whitefish Point Lighthouse. Yep. Up in Paradise, Michigan, we've had several investigations of that place.
The one location with the doll at the time of writing the book was actually a place that was more open to the public. It was a whole other business that was a lot of fun to go to and have some beverages, if you know what I'm saying. And but that is
but go ahead. I'll keep going.
You'll just pretend.
I can imagine
you're following. But yeah, so it was a much more public location at the time when we wrote the book. It's a whole different business now. But yeah, I mean, there's a ton of places that are so open to the public. A lot of them are the historical lighthouses, as Brad had said. The one that's not in the UP, I know, is in Sheboygan. It's the Sheboygan Opera House, which is a beautiful place. And we've been there a few times and some great experiences there too. And some of these places may not openly say, hey, come on in and see our ghosts, but they're open to the public. So you just bring your own little recorder and have your own investigation and call it good.
Mackinac Island's a great place to do that too. Most of the island, if you talk to the right person, almost any building on that island's haunted. You just need to get the right person behind a counter or waiting your table to tell you the story. Say, hey, what's your ghost story for this place?
Yeah, I've heard that from many people about Mackinac. So have you guys been down here anywhere down south, to investigate?
Fort Wayne.
Yeah.
Fort Wayne.
One time at Fort Wayne.
We've investigated there before. I'm trying to think down lower Michigan where as Tim mentioned, Sheboygan Opera House, that's more northern, but we've done several investigations there.
How many people are in your group?
We got 7, 6, 7. It's been pretty much the same group since we started in 98, 99.
There's 10 that will go on investigations.
Yeah, we've got a couple. We actually have a couple friends from the downriver area that will actually travel up to work with us quite often too. So we do have our connection down your way there. But for the most part, it's the solid 8 to 10. We haven't grown our team since we started. We wanted it that way. We always joke, we put the capital D in dysfunctional, but we love each other like brothers, and that's how we work.
So have you guys ever experienced anyone touching you? I've had a couple people say that they've actually been scratched. Like, for example, I believe Kat's sister was scratched once. Tim, have you ever had that happen?
Yeah, there actually, the one location, Antlers Restaurant here in Sault Ste. Marie, which is a popular tourist destination, but we've investigated there a few times. And there was one night we were actually wrapping up the investigation, and I walked through a doorway and literally felt like someone took their hand and rubbed it right across the back of my neck. And of course I froze and I turned around. There was no one there. No one was with me. We were picking up our gear. We were packing up for the night. And so that's the only time that I remember physically being touched. But at that same location, 2 of our guys were literally pushed aside in that building. And then there was one funny time, and I can let Brad tell this one.
At Seshwa Point Lighthouse, we're wrapping up at the end of the night from the investigation, and I'm been overpacking something into the case, and somebody grabbed my ass. And I jumped and turned around, and the only one behind me was Tim. And he was,
it wasn't me.
He was across the room, and I just had to turn and do a double check. I said, Tim, did you just touch my butt?
I said, nope. I haven't
he
done
still
it
claims he didn't.
I haven't done it in,
I don't know,
30, 40 years. I'm not going to start now.
So that was an interesting.
It might have been that woman with the lilac perfume or whatever you were saying.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Hope it wasn't the captain.
Well, do you guys have anything you want to plug here as we wind down, as my time is starting to run out here? Do you have anything to plug? Any websites you want to give?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, we would love to let your listeners know we're heading into our 13th annual Michigan Paranormal Convention. Brad and I and our team started that one over 13 years ago up here in Sault Ste. Marie at Quaden Casino. It's a 2.5-day event. Your boy John Tenney, he comes every year. He's a part of it, but we have all the big names from television, all the authors, all the people come here and are part of that. And if you want to check out either of our books, we've got Great Lakes Monsters and Mysteries, which is our latest one. It's this one here.
Okay.
And then this one, Supernatural Haunts. Both of them can be found at supernaturalhaunts.com if people want to check those out too. And you can follow us along on all the social media, MI Paracon, Creaking Door Paranormal Radio, which is our podcast, and the Upper Peninsula Paranormal Research Society. I think I'm done.
Well, there you go. Well, Tim and Brad, thank you guys so much for taking the time and giving us a different perspective. You're the first people I've talked to from the UP, although other people have talked about even some of the things you were mentioning, but you're actually the first people to actually live there. So it's kind of interesting to hear your guys' take.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate it. We love the riff. Thank you guys for giving this moment.
Up next, it's Jessica here in Haunted Michigan. She's from the Mystic Mitten. It's a female-led paranormal group right here in Southeast Michigan. She talks about an unbelievable experience on stage at the Michigan Theater in Jackson. Speaking of crazy experiences, wait until you see what happens to her mid-conversation. That's why I've saved this one all the way till episode 5. She talks about experiences on YouTube, and check out her oddities room. By the way, she had a bunch of October appearances, and we're sorry that we couldn't get them all in, but I wanted to save her till the end. Check out Jessica right now on Haunted Michigan. Well, Jessica from Mystic Mitten is joining us right now. How you doing, Jessica?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So you've been in this paranormal thing for like 15 years or so?
That is correct. Yes. So I've always been fascinated with all things spooky growing up watching Ghost Hunters when I was a kid. Kind of led me to have these crazy aspirations of being a ghost hunter. So I co-founded Mystic Mitten Paranormal Group. We are a female-led paranormal group trying to make a name for ladies in the field.
It's funny because you say that, but it seems like a large majority of the response I got were from women. I'm interviewing very few men for this for some reason.
That actually does not surprise me. For whatever reason, the entertainment side of paranormal investigating, they just tend to like men. But I think, being a female going into it, you have a better sense of empathy. You're a little bit more approachable to the spirits. Like, we've realized like kid spirits have an easier time communicating to females than they do men, just because we kind of have that maternal figure, so like, when you're a kid and you get lost, your parents always tell you look for a mom. So kind of going in and having that mom vibe, I think definitely helps. So it does not surprise me that a handful of ladies reached out to you, and that makes me really happy to hear.
Now, you said before we started here, you said that you were part of a haunted house actress in Holly. Now, Holly, of course, they just had that big fire.
That is correct.
Yeah, over the summertime. But have you ever done any ghost hunting in Holly?
I have not, unfortunately, but the Holly Hotel is rumored to be haunted. They do a handful of different events, or at least they usually do this time of year, where they kind of do like haunted dinners. I've never had the pleasure of actually going, but it's definitely been on my bucket list. So I was very saddened to hear about the fire, and I'm happy to see that, that they are recovering and that they are going to rebuild and things will one day be back to normal. They kind of joke about like, did the spirits have something to do with it? Because, there's been a handful of other kind of disasters along in the history of the Holly Hotel. So it's definitely fascinating. It definitely makes me itch to get in there even more.
So you've been ghost hunting for all these years. So where are some of the places you've been ghost hunting in Michigan where you've had like, I don't know, the biggest success? I don't even know how to word it, but where you've actually had some experiences.
So, it's very interesting because I feel like most of the places that we go to, at least something happens. But, we go into it with kind of a different eye. We don't go in and, start demanding them to do things. We just go in and have fun. And then if we're having fun, usually they want to join in and have fun too. So ultimately, we have been pretty lucky. One of my favorite places that we've been to was the Michigan Theater in Jackson, Michigan.
Now, I heard you talking about that in a podcast.
Yes.
Yes.
That is correct. That's one of my favorite locations. Now, the Jackson Theater is amazing. It was absolutely amazing. So we partnered with Central Michigan Paranormal Investigations. They invited us along. They go there every year and they do an annual investigation, usually in the fall. Now this building was built like back in the 1930s, so it's really old and they haven't updated a whole lot of it. There's all sorts of different, rumored hauntings, like a little girl who's seen by the bathrooms. And theaters are just a really special place because people are so passionate about theater life. And, if you are an actress, you're spending so much time there rehearsing, and it just becomes like another part of you. So it makes sense that when people pass, the way I look at it is you'd want to stick around doing things that you enjoyed. If you're not really attached to the fact that you died in some certain way, you'd want to go where you're most happy, where you're comfortable. And if you're passionate about the theater, it makes sense. So we did a really, really awesome experiment. It's called the Estes method. So basically it's kind of using the human body as a tool, as an extension of a spirit box. So a spirit box is something that it's like a device that flips through radio stations really fast. And, it just kind of like, it's on a rhythm. You can change the speed. You can change between AM or FM every so often. A little snippet of the riff comes through. And we're doing this method. And now the Estes method is where I become part of the device. Okay. So I am blindfolded. I have these headphones on and I am listening to the spirit box so ungodly loud that like it just pulsates through my body. And I'm sitting on the stage. Now, my partner Hillary was off stage and she was kind of whispering, trying to get the spirits to interact with me somehow. And as I'm sitting there on the stage, no one's on the stage, I'm feeling vibrations of the floor. Mind you, this theater's empty. No one's in it. There's nobody else on the stage. I'm feeling vibrations, like somebody's like walking towards me as I'm just sitting there in a single chair on this empty stage in total darkness, blindfolded and listening to the radio stations flip through really, really fast. So Hillary has this idea. She's going to try to encourage them to interact with me. And she keeps telling them, just poke her on the shoulder, tap her left arm, just tap her on the shoulder. It'll be really funny. We'll all laugh. It'll be a good show. Tap her on the shoulder. And the whole time I'm sitting there, I feel like something is getting closer. And this is the only time that I've ever been afraid. This is the only time I've ever been afraid. And it takes a lot to scare me. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, ooh, I'm like getting goosebumps now just thinking about it. I'm like, I'm genuinely scared right now because I just feel like something is like circling in on me. Like I like to say, like, like a pack of coyotes is like hunting me as I'm just like this meek little rabbit sitting on the stage waiting for something to happen. So Hillary keeps whispering, hey, tug her on the arm, tug her on the arm. Like, it's going to be really great. Just tap her on the shoulder right here, tap her right here. And I'm sitting there and then all of a sudden my hoodie gets tugged on my left arm, right exactly where Hillary told them to touch me. And unbeknownst to me, I had no idea that she was encouraging them to interact with me, but they grabbed my hoodie, they tugged it. And I was like, oh my gosh, somebody just touched me. They pulled on my hoodie right here. And after that happened, my fear immediately went away, which is crazy because most of the time people would be like, you were touched by a ghost and you weren't scared. Like, it was fine at that point. It was like, oh, that's cool. Let's do it again. Like, what more can you do? Like, that was really awesome. But then afterwards, after she finally got me out of the Estes method and everything, she told me that she actually told them to touch me there. And it's really cool. We actually have like a video clip where if you zoom in, you can kind of just see the fabric on my hoodie get pulled and I'm not moving at all, but you see the fabric on the hoodie get tugged at the same exact moment that I react and kind of like shrug something off of me. So that was really cool. It was definitely my favorite investigation, just because it was so obvious that something was there working with us. And and to have these different vantage points in the audio and video of her encouraging the spirit to do that and have it actually happen was just really, really awesome. So that was definitely my favorite experience to date. Definitely.
Is that the only time you've ever been touched?
No.
Oh, really?
It is not. So we used to film just like YouTube channels. We were younger. We thought it was, like whatever, we'll just be YouTube stars one day. It's fine. Aspirations, right?
Right.
So we were filming in Hillary's basement. and I had just gotten my hair cut, and my hair used to be, much longer, like, like past shoulder length, and I got it chopped short, and it was styled totally different. And we're just sitting there, we're just kind of like blabbing on the couch, just, like kind of introducing ourselves just for giggles. And I feel like my ringlet kind of get tugged a little bit, and I didn't want to stop Hillary because she was in the middle of talking, so I didn't want her to lose her thought. So I just kind of like sat there and looked at the camera, and I was like, I hope you caught that. And then afterwards you can see where my hair gets tugged, like one of my little ringlets gets pulled down a little bit. And that was fascinating too, because like I would spend so much time at her house, and she had these spirits in her house, and they had noticed that my hair was different. So they're like, oh, look at you got your hair cut. So that was really cool. So I've been touched by spirits twice. Neither of the times were scary, neither of the times I felt like I was in danger. Both, like, they were just kind of like, it was just genuinely like curious about my new haircut, and the other one, it was just doing what it was asked. So yes, I've been touched twice, both of which were really cool and awesome stories, definitely.
And where does she live? She's in Michigan too, on the east side.
So she this was at a house located in Roseville.
Okay, in Roseville.
So yeah, so it's just just a house, and like that's the thing too. Everybody always thinks that oh, it's haunted, like it has to be abandoned, it has to be old, all of these things, but there's so many other reasons why a spirit could be lingering in a certain area. So yeah, so it was just one of her random spirit friends who just kind of hung out. Everything's fine.
What was that?
I think something fell in my chinchilla's cage. That was so loud. See, and that startled me.
Yeah. And then of course, my email goes off.
I can't even imagine how loud that sounded on your end.
Are you okay?
That's fine. Everything's fine. My chinchilla seems to be fine. I don't know. I think something fell. I have a chinchilla, and he's got like a 6-foot cage.
Oh, okay.
There's like different levels and wooden shelves, but yeah, that was exceptionally loud. So I do apologize about that. It's just the spirits as usual. It's fine.
I knew that there would be something we'd catch on camera in one of these interviews, and you're the
exactly.
first, so.
Exactly. And then I have this, I also collect oddities. So behind me is like a whole bunch of weird, spooky, morbid things. It's fine.
Yeah, just like Mom wanted you to.
Exactly.
So, as I've been, now to get back on track here, as I've been asking everybody, since we're doing Haunted Michigan, where do you think are some of the most haunted places in Michigan? Is it Jackson for you think?
I think the most haunted place that I've ever been was Jackson. A lot of really old towns have a lot of history. So like Sault Ste. Marie, which is located in the Upper Peninsula, on the edge of Canada there, that is one of the oldest cities in the entire country. And that area has significant spiritual power. Detroit, same there. There's a lot of history. We were invited to investigate the once known as the Roma Cafe. Now it's called Amor de Roma. And that was a building that was built like back in like 1888. And that area had a like really strong history, and we had really successful experiments there. So, but I think I wouldn't say there's one area in particular that is haunted, what I mean?
I'm just looking from your opinion, from your
I'd say like the old history, where there is old history, but even in new developments, over in Harrison Township, there is a relatively new development, but back in the day, it used to be owned by a farmer and his family, and his kids still hang around, and that was from back in the 1800s. So I think really it's just it can happen anywhere. You just have to be open to it, and you have to be looking for it, and you have to know what to look for as well. But at the Roma Cafe, that was really cool. So we have this device, it's called the K2 meter. Basically it detects energy, and we had set up kind of like a grid, like a triangle of K2 devices. So we had 3 of them. And then in the middle of the K2, we had brought an offering of whiskey. And the second that we popped open the whiskey and the aroma of the whiskey hit the air, all of the 3 devices like circling around us all went off simultaneously, which is really awesome. So it was like they were acknowledging the fact that we had brought them a gift, and the whiskey made them happy, and it set the alarms off, and I was like, I get it, me too. Like it was really cool. So yeah, I think like any place that has old history, but at the same time any area that just had old land.
Yeah. Well, I mean, after I'm long gone, if the smell of whiskey is going to bring me back around,
See?
that'll happen as well. So
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
well, you've had a couple of experiences yourself. Have you ever been around anybody else in Michigan where you've been, where they've experienced something crazy?
So yes and no. Like often people will reach out to us and they'll kind of share us like their stories, and that's one thing that we really like to do is just kind of lend an ear.
Yeah.
Let people know like, hey, you're not crazy, like we get it, we've been there too, like your story makes perfect sense to us. And just kind of sitting down and bringing comfort to people. Oftentimes too, it's like moms that have kids and like the husband or father figure just kind of like shrugs it off and says, like that they're crazy, nothing's really going on. Like that tends to be a really common trend. So being there to be a support for these moms who are scared or, who think that their family or their kids might be in danger, and just kind of walk them through things. We've had some really great success in just mentoring people and kind of showing them the way to reclaim their space if they're uncomfortable, and just taking ownership of your building, your belonging, and your family.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you got coming up in October that you can plug?
Oh my goodness, so much. So I also do library investigations and library presentations, as well as investigations at locations. So this October, I have 2 library presentations scheduled in the books already. One is going to be on October 12th, and then the Shelby Township Library has invited us back for the 2nd year to do a presentation about haunted Michigan there. And then on the 24th of October, I'll be presenting here in my hometown of St. Clair Shores at the St. Clair Shores Public Library as well. And those are both free and open to attend. I also just became a featured artist for the first time ever as an author. So that's really exciting.
Oh, congratulations.
The Feminine Macabre. Yeah, this book is really great because it's all females involved in the paranormal. So there's like 35 female artists that, put together their stories, and, like all true kind of like short stories ultimately to talk about, their experiences. So I'm really excited about that. My story is about the loss of my mom. Unfortunately, I did lose my mom to COVID-19 just about a year and a half ago. So my story is kind of about how her and I still have a relationship even after her parting. Because I think, especially if there is some sort of trauma around that person's death, or it seems like it's untimely, like I feel like people are a little bit more often to stick around because they didn't really get to say that formal goodbye. So my story is about that, and I hope that it makes a difference in somebody's life, and hopefully will bring somebody some comfort in the ways that I needed it. So
yeah. Do you sorry about that, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have a website?
We do, yeah. So it's called mysticmitten.com. And on there you can find links to all of our different social channels. Like I said, we have a YouTube channel. It's pretty stagnant, but there are some entertaining videos there. And there's going to be links to our Instagram, different posts about other podcasts that we've been featured on, can all be found there at mysticmitten.com.
All right, and final thing here for you, Jessica. What is the craziest oddity that you have behind you?
Okay, so this is a lot. I do. Let me see if I scoot over. Okay, in this box right there.
Okay.
That is a real human skull. It is legal in Michigan. There are some states that it's not legal. However, in the state of Michigan, as long as it is a scientific display, or at that point it is allowed. Yeah. So fully legally obtained human skull. But at the same time, my house is very quiet. I don't think my house is haunted. The only ghost that hangs around here is my mom time to time, and that's a happy ghost to have. So
well, Jessica, thank you so much for talking about Haunted Michigan with us here. It's been an honor and a privilege to talk with you, and good luck on the book. And I'll have to come out and see one of your presentations at the libraries, perhaps. Yeah.
Awesome. That would be amazing. Thank you so much for your time.
Jessica, thank you. Good luck with everything, and happy haunting.
Thank you. You too. Stay spooky.
Wrapping up episode 5 in the finale of this season of Haunted Michigan. It's the rap duo of Twiztid, Monoxide and Madrox. When I reached out to these guys to talk about their paranormal experiences right here in Michigan, they could not wait to share with us. Something unusual though, both their experiences happened around Christmas time. Here's the boys. Well, wrapping up this special edition of Haunted Michigan with the fellas here from Twiztid, Madrox and Monoxide. How you guys doing?
Doing good, man.
We are well, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, of course, now this podcast and this video cast is all about like the hauntings in and around Michigan. And I know, Jamie, you said that you had some crazy stuff happen to you in St. Clair Shores. So this I got to hear. I've been waiting for a while now to hear this story.
All right.
This is lore, man. This goes back. This is
insane. Okay. I want to precursor the story by saying that at the time when I would ghost hunt, I was total L7, so there's no drugs, there's no alcohol. I'm not you had to be drunk or intoxicated,
right?
What any of that. So just putting it out there. This is a younger age. My friend was talking to a girl who lived in a house that was on Little Mac behind a gas station. That is as descriptive as I will get. They were remodeling this house, and it was an old-timely house, like had the bathtub with the feet on it, and off the ground, like real spooky looking stuff. So as they're remodeling, they say in the paranormal world, when you remodel something, like ghosts that are trapped in the same repeating thing will replay things. And if you start changing, like the Winchester house, that was her idea that she constantly kept building so they would not find her.
Yeah.
Like like that kind of vibe. So like when you alter it, they get upset. They can get upset. That's the vibe. So whatever. So my dad's tearing this thing out. She says, we're like, hey, we're there. So we go there and we're trying to mess with it. And it's at Christmas time. There's this like this little angel thing that's hanging from the fan in the kitchen. So we light a few candles and we go through the whole gamut. If there's a ghost here, blow a candle out. And everybody, stop, I'm scared. We're starts getting creepy. There's like 4 of us, and we go through all the candles. And the last candle, and it was like, this is the last time I'm going to ask you, if there's a ghost in here, blow out the candle. And my dude goes and puts his lips in the flame and goes, and it keeps going. And he's like, it won't blow out. It won't blow out. He blows it out. And then the back porch light cuts off, which was like the only source of light, and the Christmas tree, like everything just goes dark. So now we're all just scared shitless. We're like, what's going on? So then you hear in the kitchen something like, we had a bottle of sparkling cider. I want to say this was like New Year's Eve time or something like that.
Party.
So you hear, this is the part which I don't even really, if I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe it. But everything was just so. The bottle, the little, what do you call it? The aluminum foil, the cork, and all of that was just placed just so, like someone had did that. So we go screaming out. We're sitting in Denny's. We're, smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee, going through the motions. What did we see? Blah, 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 blah. So we go back. Of course you go back. Why wouldn't you go back? There's everybody in the movie. Why would you go back?
We're right. You're right. That's what white people do. We go back.
We go back. Yeah. Right. Asking for trouble. So we go back, and it's like later on that night, and I'm sitting. It sounds stupid, but it's important to the story. Like the way that I'm sitting, there's a Christmas tree right here. And it's like this L-shaped room. There's an organ here, and you see this way. There's like a open vestibule that you can see up to a staircase with an arched window, okay, and that shines across on the wall because obviously there's the panes of glass. So the light from the gas station shines through this picture window and casts this cross just about where the Christmas tree is, right? All this little dumb detail stuff is all important to the story, but I promise you. So we're sitting there, and my dude starts talking junk. He's, the tough guy. He's, what? F this ghost, and you ain't nothing, and you ain't scaring us, and all this, that, and the other. Then everybody runs out of steam and crashes, and it's just late. And I'm watching this TV, and it's just all of a sudden I feel like the lowest, you people with the sounds, the bass drops and stuff, the lowest bass drop you could ever feel. And I got really, really cold. And something in the Christmas tree right here was like, tick, 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 like a timer, like an egg timer. And I'm like, dude, what the hell? And then it starts shaking, right? So now I'm freaking out, and I turn my head to look, and the light on the wall with the cross is now gone. So then I'm like, look, don't look, don't look, fuck it, look. And I look, and I seen this full apparition passing by the glass, creating a shadow to block the light, walk down, stick its arm out, and float into the kitchen. And I like literally had tears running down my eyes. I started screaming. I'm like, I don't ever want to come back here again. I was completely freaked out. But what it taught me is that my takeaway is like, I think that's not the first time I had seen a ghost, because I remember that same thing when I was a kid. Remember I told you about my Uncle Angelo? My Uncle Angelo died when I was a baby. It was my dad's brother. It was really important. And there was this setup in the living room, and I was sitting on the staircase in the dark, and I was just sitting there, and I knew someone was in that chair, a complete solid figure, like shadow people, so to speak. I know you heard that term. It's usually associated with aliens, but maybe everyone sees them differently. I don't know, but it was like thicker than the darkest smoke, always moving, like not
perpetually flowing.
Yeah, like just kind of swirling, and it was darker than the darkest dark, so you could see it move in a dark room. But the not being afraid. At this time, I was what, like 4 or 5,
yeah.
And I remember that story. That's one of my very few memories of just being a kid or my dad or any of that. But I remember that, and I remember not being afraid. And in this situation, if I connect them, in this one, I was very afraid. I was terrified. I was terrified for my life. Like, I feel like maybe the guy insulting the spirit might have been like, oh, you want me to turn up the music? Oh, I'll turn it up for you. You know, I'm going to scare the piss out of all of you. You know what I mean? Because I can. Like, I don't know if they can do that or not. Like, me and him have talked about this shit from every angle possible. Like, when you're dead, do you have to do like how much exercise or whatever does it take to move something in the real world? Are you trapped there?
Do you earn that power?
Do you earn that power? You know what I mean? Like, oh man, I get to the hours and the times, and we would go and try to like investigate more and more stuff to try to get, like we said, knock street, and bring our tape recorder with us. I mean, we're just on some nerdy stuff because we just loved it so much.
We go through these haunted venues, being, and what we do, like, we'll be in different places, like, oh, this venue's haunted. We're like, all right, let's go find it.
For real.
Yeah, just.
But that's the
kicking
thing,
the stones around, and it's like, for gifts.
Right, but the thing is it's like, in theory, if it's there, most people will not pay attention to it. There's one thing that I learned a long time ago, like with the people that do like psychic and fortune telling, and people who claim to see spirits. And I say claim, I don't judge them or whatever, but I know some people don't believe. They're very skeptical.
Right.
But the idea is it's like, if the ghost wants you to see it, it will project itself to you. So, and I'm wondering if for some people it's more like a feeling. Like, I've told him this, he thinks I'm strange, but at times I see auras on people, or I get bad vibes from people. We'll do business with somebody, and I'll like shake their hand, and later on that night I'm like, I don't like that person. And he's like, why? What did they do? And I'm like, they didn't do shit. They didn't do a damn thing. It's just their demeanor, the way they act. When they shook my hand, I just got this real bad feeling, like there's malice or something evil about. Not, evil's harsh word. So hateful, aggressive, not going to be a comfortable situation for him and I, or something like that. And I'll be like, that's really weird. But I'm wondering if that's like another level, and can we as humans exercise that to be able to go deeper? As I told you, my dude Steve Prozac, dude, he makes a living on this kind of shit. Like, he has a fucking full team, and they go and like rent out houses and film all this stuff and show the movies and stuff. I mean, he's like really into it. He's tried to get us on a couple of those things. And I remember we were talking at one time about the Zach Baggins guy, about going on, trying to hang out with him and go see some stuff, because we want to see. Well, I watched TAPS when it was out, the Ghost Hunters, the Paranormal Society. I loved all of that stuff.
We went on a ghost adventure in where was that?
In
Salem.
Oh yeah, how did it go?
Yeah,
it was nuts.
It was nuts. It was you felt as if it was more of a historical than it was like emotional or feeling anything. Like, you could see stuff off in the distance. Again, like if you entertain the idea that it could be shadow people, or they're allowed to walk around or spiritualize or whatever, like that kind of vibe.
Full of circle. It wasn't there. It was in New Orleans, and Prozac was with us.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, I heard New Orleans is crazy, huh?
Yeah, they said that's where she told us about them tying the strings with the bells at the end, because some people wouldn't be dead necessarily, and that's how they would. You hear that bell, start digging them on.
Yeah.
And that's where zombies kind of came from. Like,
you'd either be, that was crazy.
Yeah,
I remember that they said they drilled a hole in their casket so that if you woke up dead, you could be like cling, 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 and they have to hurry up and dig you up. Like, that's terrifying. Well, you want to talk about REM sleep? Like, who is sleeping that well? Like, you're just mummified, stiff. Like, goddamn.
Now, Paul, did you have a story too? I think you said it happened somewhere else.
Yeah, I have a Michigan story, and then I have a story that just happened in Vegas. We're in Vegas, right? I'm in my hotel room, and I'm getting ready to take a shower. Back from the show, and taking out my stuff or whatever, and all of a sudden I just looked like that, and I could smell perfume. Like I've never smelled before. And I smell this way, nothing. I smell my bags, smell all my clothes, nothing. Smell right there, it's still there. That's right there. I walked all around. That's crazy. Come back, do it again, it's completely gone. Not a dissipation, completely gone. And I'm just like, that's bizarre. You know what I mean? I didn't want to mess with it because I was by myself in another state. I don't know a lot of people there, you know.
Right. And you want to bring something home with you. You got to talk about a carry-on.
Right. Yeah. What stays in Vegas or what happens in Vegas or what you smell in Vegas, you want to stay there.
Yeah, man, that was just weird.
There. Yeah.
What happened in Michigan?
Oh, man. Okay. So my dad and all my uncles swear every house they've ever lived in was haunted, right? So my dad's telling me that it's around Christmas time. He's sitting at the table or on the couch with his feet on the table, cup of coffee. It's a big coffee table, and there's Christmas cards on it. And he said he's sitting there reading his paper, and he hears, looks around, goes back to reading his paper. Hears it again. It's like, what? Drops the paper, and he waits. And his Christmas card goes across the table. My dad, being a ninja, he's like, oh, he runs and he grabs a tape recorder and he hits record. And he's like, if there's anybody here, tell me, you know, let me know, do something, let me hear you, whatever. Lets it run for about 60 seconds, stops it, rewinds it. He plays this for us, like we hear this and sits there and you hear him say that, and it's just that crisp air. And you hear it say, Joshua, which is my little brother's name.
Baby at the time, no?
Very, yeah.
Just born?
Yeah.
Littleish, like months old?
Yeah, very little. And
now you heard this on the tape, but you didn't hear it
in real life.
No, he didn't hear anything in real life.
He didn't hear it in real life, but
right.
captured it on tape.
Played it back, and it said my brother's name. Like, holy smokes. And I saw my grandfather die right in front of me. That was crazy. That's not really a ghost thing, but it happened.
Well,
I mean, seriously, at the dining room table and just boom, dead. Like, holy smokes. But man, I could tell you a bunch of their stories. They got some crazy stuff. But
we phase all of those stories in with our own stories, and then we kind of try to like learn from the stuff like the idea of recording, because if you can't hear it in real life, that's the whole white noise thing, which again, if you delve into any of this, you watching this, you'll go crazy. So don't take it all with a grain of salt. If you want to dabble,
I got one like his.
Yeah.
That watch this.
Okay.
So me and my brother Jeremy, we lived on Pinewood. Mm-hmm. We had a room in the basement, right? 2 beds, and it was separated by a couch. Behind that couch was a sheet. I'm sitting on the couch. I'm high out of my mind, right?
Shocker, but go ahead.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
And the TV's not on, but I'm looking at it. And for some reason, I started to feel like something's watching me, right? But I'm high, and I'm like, watch me, I don't care. And then just like he said, I felt a ooh, like over my body, bro. And all of a sudden, I felt something come behind me and lift up on the couch. I sank into the couch. And then I went back up. And my brother's laying on the bed. I'm horrified to look into the TV screen because I don't want to see what's there.
Right.
I'm trying to get this shoe with my foot so I can fling it over to my brother so he can witness whatever hell that is standing there. But funny enough, didn't work. I ended up falling asleep, woke up like 2 hours later, opened my hands. I had a bunch of peanut M&Ms in my hand. So my hand was stained for like 3 days of all these different colors. Oh, it was a nightmare.
Oh my God.
But yeah, that was crazy. That was probably my most intense experience where I'm like, oh.
Well, I'll tell you what, wrapping this up here, to get away from the stories for a second, have you guys been watching some of the latest horror movies?
Oh, yeah.
So what have you liked?
Smile was good.
Smile was good. I've seen that. That was good.
Love Smile. Love Smile.
If you haven't seen The Dark and the Wicked, holy smoke.
That's the one we watched yesterday.
No, what did I play? Host.
Oh, Host. That was good.
Host is a COVID horror movie, and they nailed it.
I'm going home to watch that with my kids. It's
Nailed
like
it.
some kind of seance online. So it'll be right up their alley. And it's like a digital age. Like you said, it was filmed during COVID in the bubble or whatever. So it's like one of these new approaches that movies. You see just a bunch of screens on the thing the whole time, but it watches out as a movie, and it was really good.
Hellraiser. They did a really good job with that.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, so you guys had Art the Clown at Astronomicon. Did you see Terrifier 2?
We were going to go see it today, and that's on our list. We're trying to find a theater that's playing it. Okay. Because it's Select Theaters that has it. But
congrats to you guys.
Yeah, those
2.4 million at the box office, independent style.
Yep. Yeah.
Good job, guys.
Yeah,
and you guys had to have seen Halloween, right?
I've seen it.
Halloween?
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
What'd you think?
So, are the Lions? Is it a bye week this week for the Lions?
I heard
I think it was.
That's exactly what I thought too.
I'm so upset.
Is it a bye week?
I heard so much bad about it.
I don't want to do it, man. I mean, if there's a finger to point, it's like there's been one new thing, and it's that guy Danny McBride, and I'm like, I don't know what you've done, bro, but that ain't my Michael Myers. I'll tell you that right to your face.
Yeah,
I'll tell you right to your face, Danny McBride. That ain't my Michael Myers.
I put a 2-word review on my Facebook. Not great.
Yeah, man. I'm not gonna bash it. I'm just gonna say.
No, I want to see
that
it.
ain't my Michael Myers.
I love Michael Myers, so I have to see it. But I've heard that. Like I've heard a 1-word review is unnecessary.
Yeah,
that was what I heard.
Yeah,
and I've also heard that it's called This Generation's Halloween 5, which was nonsensical when Michael Myers supposedly had sex with Jamie Lloyd to produce another Michael. It was like, you guys, what the hell are y'all smoking in the writing room in there? You know, like, it just went way off the rails for us, and it's just not a good look. But that's
congrats to Jamie Lee Curtis, though.
Yeah,
and all of them, man.
Yeah, that's great. That's great, dude. No, that's super killer, man.
Good job,
but
James Courtney,
what I hope, and because this is the rock station, so I want to say this for Uncle Rob. I hope that people will appreciate his take on Halloween a lot more, because he caught a lot of shit back in the day. And now, comparing apples to apples, Rob wasn't really that off. Rob gave us what we wanted, and we couldn't handle it. And now this guy gave us what we thought we wanted, and we're like, that's not my Michael Myers. Like, I'll take him grunting and stabbing. Like, maybe, I don't know. But 2 was a little crazy, but that 1 was still good. I love it.
Old boss is always addicted until you meet your new one.
Yeah, I suppose. Right. You know what I mean? But we got high hopes because David Green, is that his name?
The director,
David Gordon Green.
Yeah.
That guy from Halloween is supposed to now be doing The Exorcist, a new trilogy that spawns off from the last one. So fingers crossed that we don't screw that up.
400 million.
I think that it's cool, like, to support the horror movies when they come out, because when you look at it, like, there's like 5 lame movies, and I say lame, and that's my opinion, but they're movies that, like, they're either Oscar movies, or chick flicks, or some sort of kid comedy. Right. There's the horror
or a
genre
movie that doesn't need to be.
Right, exactly. That's the most prevalent of all of them. Right. But the horror and suspense kind of vibe is so far and few between. So even when they do come out, even when they are shitty, go see them and support them, because that's how we're going to keep getting them. I'm like, I'm $10, throw my ticket money down, give me some popcorn, I'll watch the shit with you. We'll eat the shit.
Yeah. It's still the most crap down genre of all the genres.
Yeah, man, it really is.
The most underrated, but also the most undeterred, and that's what we love about it.
Yeah, man.
I said turd.
We can relate to it. We can relate to it. It takes a long time to get people to come around, and even when they come around, they're still not really ready to digest what you're putting out there. So
yeah,
it'll take time.
I got you. Well, just for those people that are just that don't know about you guys, you got your Astronomicon coming up March 3rd through the 5th with all sorts of celebrities there. Of course,
being announced weekly. Yep.
Being announced weekly, so everyone can plug that. But I just wanted to thank you guys for coming on and sharing your experiences here and wrapping up this web series. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, for real, man. That's awesome, man. We love doing stuff like this. Any chance to get to talk about some of that stuff, like, it's still in our DNA. We still love it. Blaze, your dead homie, just called me the other day and told me that he found a box at his house with some of my grandmother's possessions in it, and it was her Ouija board. And I'm like, Oh man. So now I have to call my mom and be like, do you want grandma's old witchboard? Do you want me to bring that to you? And I'm waiting to see I'll text you and let you know what she says, because I still don't have a clue what she means.
My mom, she would just get it wrapped up for Christmas.
Just get it click. I know your mom would hang up on you quick fast. You can bring that devil thing in my house.
Well, it seems like you guys have a lot of stories around Christmas time with hauntings, so maybe that's a good thing.
That's crazy.
Hey, yeah, right out, brother.
Hey, thank you so much, guys.
No worries, man. Thanks, Meltdown.
And there you have it, episode 5 in the final installment of our first ever season of Haunted Michigan. I got to send out a huge, heartfelt thank you to everybody that participated in this, and of course, you guys for watching and listening. Who knows, maybe we'll make it bigger and better next year. In the meantime, I'm Meltdown. Happy haunting.